Welcome to New Dentists on the Block.
And Between Two Teeth.
Welcome to the crossover episode.
I'm back with Stephanie Ganter and Bob McNeill for another episode. You met them individually on their respective episodes. They are known together as Between Two Teeth. And if you haven't seen them on YouTube, this is a great time to check them out. We reconnected at the Texas Dental Association meeting in San Antonio, Texas, where we talked about making connections, their trip to Poland, and emotions. I consider Bob and Steph two great friends, and it's always a great time to sit and chat with them. I hope you will enjoy our crossover episode. Let's get to it. Hello, everyone. I'm Tanya Sumaestas with New Dentists on the Block, and I am Between Two Teeth.
You are Between Two Teeth.
Woo-hoo.
That's right. That's who we are.
That's
Oh,
right.
man.
And I'm here with my friends Stephanie Ganter and Bobby Bob.
Yes.
Well, guys, where are we at today?
We're at the TDA meeting. We're wrapping up.
Oh, man. Beautiful San Antonio TDA annual
Absolutely.
meeting. Now, this is a special one because I believe we haven't had and correct me, one in
Yeah.
person. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct.
It's been a touch of time.
And all of the positive energy and vibes that we've gotten from, anyone I've interacted with on the exhibit hall or on the house floor, things like that. It's been phenomenal.
Part of what we do with Between Two Teeth is we really want to try to establish connection to others. And
Yeah.
when you come to in-person meetings like this, there's nothing like it. It is an absolute blast.
Big
Absolutely.
value add.
Yeah, 100%.
We ended up coming directly from a mission.
I heard about that. Actually, I was watching some of your posts. I saw that you and
Oh, no, that's a
Craig
good and bad thing.
Armstrong- No, I absolutely
That's
love
right.
being able to see y'all's experience from the
thank
outside
you.
in. And I'd like to hear more about how y'all felt about it all.
That's right.
Yeah,
You
thank you
mentioned we
that.
had Dr. Craig Armstrong join us, as well as many others.
Kate Davidowski, Hannah Alberti. These are a phenomenal group. And
McNeill.
David McNeill, your son, your
son.
boy.
That's great.
And we didn't all know each other too well before we started. And
Well, I knew my son pretty well.
you knew your son pretty well. I guess that's a fair
But
comment. But
actually,
by the end of it,
I learned a lot of things about my son on this trip.
Oh,
ergo my comment.
nice.
Yeah.
And then by the end of the trip,
Yeah.
we all started to kind of become this team. In some of the kind of leadership courses, they talk about how groups become a team at the end of it and how important it is to have that team dynamic. And I got to say, by the end of this, I felt like we were a team.
It was
love that.
awesome. We were in Warsaw, Poland. We were treating the dental needs of Ukrainian citizens who were guests in Poland, basically people that were moved out of Ukraine due to the war. And it was phenomenal on so many levels, impactful on so
And
many levels.
you talk about this transformational experiences that you get on trips like these. And this is part of the reason I went into dentistry. And I know, Tanya Sue, you and I have talked about these transformational experiences, helping others, our service.
Yeah.
And I love that when Craig was given the opportunity, he jumped at
Oh,
the
yeah, that's huge.
opportunity to serve the people who are in most need.
I
Yes.
think that's very telling about y'all and about Craig as well, too.
Oh, man.
Well,
we
I
appreciate that.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that. And one of the things that sort of strikes me is, and we talk about this a lot with Between Two Teeth, our YouTube channel, self-promotion, shameless self-promotion. It's not about
Shout
the
out New
teeth.
Dentist on the Block.
Yeah,
Thanks for
that's
that.
right. That's right. It is not about the teeth. And you go over there to provide dentistry. What I learned, or one of the things I learned, is that dentistry is a conduit to help other people.
I just continue to learn. It is a conduit to help other people. And I'm always surprised at how dentistry might be the venue. And you realize how much this impacts those around you, not only those that are seeing you go on the mission trip, but also just people that you had no idea were affected by Ukraine. We have assistants in our office, our practice, that have family in Ukraine. I was at a coffee shop by our private practice, and the bartender there, the barista, was like, "You'll never guess where I'm from," when she saw my shirt, and she's from Ukraine. She actually started crying when she found out we were going over there on a mission, because she said it felt like she was not forgotten.
Wow.
And that's part of, I think, for me personally, why we try to get our message out
Yeah.
there, is to say, you can do this. We had to take everything with us, assemble the group to do it, but it is possible to do. When you are able to get the message out there, it impacts so many people. And we had so many people supporting us through giving us instruments, giving us well wishes,
I mean, shout out
giving
to
us
the
toys.
International College of Dentists, the Henry
Oh, that's
Schein
right. Henry Schein Cares
Cares, and then
program.
the Global Smiles or Global Vision.
Global Vision through the International College
Yes,
of
we really
Dentists.
appreciated
And the
all of
American
those
Dental Association
donations.
supported us by allowing several
Yeah,
of the
some of
key
their
staff
team
people
members. Yep.
to come.
It's fantastic. And then, when we talk about figuring out, how do you get a group going here? Because it has to kind of be the right set of
Group
people.
dynamics.
And you and Tanya Sue, I know as a past ASDA president, you know
Oh,
all about trying to
for
get
sure.
people on the
Yeah,
right
yeah.
team
It's got to
and
be the
try to
right
get them.
team.
It's got to be
Absolutely.
the
and
right
we
team.
you talk a lot about rowers.
Yes.
And if you're not rowing in sync.
Classic business study case is
Yes.
talking about
that's
crew
a great
teams.
comparison
And
analogy there.
The coolest thing for me when I learned about crew teams is there's no MVP. And actually, an MVP or someone who is rowing far beyond or behind the status of the group,
It'll hurt
actually,
the boat.
it hurts the boat.
It hurts the boat.
Yes.
What I found, Steph and Craig Armstrong were part of a team in a different location
We had a
than
different
I
shelter.
was, and they had a operations system that worked really, really well. And on the third day, we all joined together, and my goal was to not get in the way of the system that you guys
did
had
you do?
established. I think I did pretty well. You tell me how you think I did.
I gotta say, take a
I
second.
just stood back and said, they got something that works.
I gotta, and I appreciate that, and thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's really cool. I didn't know Craig Armstrong too well when I first went on this trip, and I was blown away at how solid of a human he is.
Yeah.
Not only could he help create a system on the spot for our dental mission in a place with limited resources, but he just served as a rock and a foundation for our team the entire week. I was so impressed by Craig Armstrong on this trip. It was phenomenal.
I love hearing that. I think that's huge. It tells a lot about who he is.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about how you all felt when you came back from the trip. I feel that from speaking to both of you all individually, this sense of gratitude that I'm getting is huge.
I'll kind of take a first initial kind of stab
go
at
ahead.
this.
Yes, go. Sure.
So
Yes.
first and foremost, having people like Tanya Sue and others through our local, state, and national societies give us the support when we got back was huge. I mean, when you're over in a different country, you realize that you're not only an ambassador of America if you want to be or not, you are. And you figure out you're actually not you're definitely not the majority. So when you come back home, getting a homecoming and a welcome, oh my gosh, we appreciate that so much because it is emotionally exhausting.
Well, we were cheering you on for sure.
We appreciate the support, all of the support on social media, one-on-one, doing things like this to unpack it. That has helped with the emotional exhaustion that you get when you do missions like this at home or abroad. So we thank you.
I'm looking forward to getting back to Dallas. I still haven't made it home yet. We ended up coming here, and it is exhausting, but in a good way. And I think I've talked a lot about burnout in practice and doing the same thing. One of my missions is to push others to do certain things. And this was an experience for me that really allowed me to better appreciate dentistry. And it was an adventure. Every part of this was an adventure.
They've got a dental warehouse in Poland, by the way.
Where you just buy
it's kind of like
stuff.
going to Sam's
really?
for dentistry.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
you could
cool.
buy like
wholesale. Yes, it was fun. We were working in one shelter and we needed supplies. So Dr. Hannah Alberti and Dr. Craig Armstrong went to the dental warehouse to get some critically needed supplies for that day, which was. That's what I said too. Wow.
I wish we could go somewhere and get some supplies.
I know, right?
I'm just like, ma'am. So what's next for Between Two Teeth?
I'm not going to tell you.
Very good.
We have been.
I don't know. Steph doesn't tell me this kind of information.
We've been blessed with so many opportunities through the American Dental Association. We're hoping everyone comes out to SmileCon in Orlando, Florida this year.
There.
We'll all be there. We'll get kind of some look-sees at the podcaster.
Oh, you're planning on coming? Okay.
Podcaster and influencer hub.
That's right.
Come talk to us.
We
can
come talk to us. Shout out.
We want to hear your story.
Yeah,
we want to hear your story, big or small.
That's right.
That's what we're here for. That's one of the kind of I guess tangibles and member benefits, if you will, of being in person at the American Dental Association annual session.
We had
the tangible
so much
benefit
fun.
is that they can beat us.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I don't know if it's much of a benefit, but it's this
I
there
would
if you want to take
say,
it.
and I don't know if y'all agree, but doing this podcast and telling people's stories, I think is huge. I
I
don't know if
love
you
that.
absolutely agree with it, but I
Yes.
have learned so much from those who I've interviewed. I've learned so much from y'all.
And just a note on
Oh,
your podcast, New Dentist on the
Do
Block,
you have a podcast?
it's called New Dentist on the Block.
Mm.
it's
Tune in,
been
subscribe.
I know I've been on it. Remember, I had to beg. I had
Oh,
to
yeah.
say, okay, I'm not a new
whenever
dentist,
you're
but I want to
done,
be on it. Okay, sorry.
I'll
I
keep going.
digress.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, this is banter.
This is banter,
Like
yes.
banter.
No, just on your New Dentist on the Block. I mean, it's great to see some of the interviews you've had, and I think it's a mark on you as a host because you can evoke certain stories from people, and not everybody can. And
Well,
so
well, thank you. I
that's
appreciate
the
that.
that's the
And I hope
benefit.
I bring value to the listeners who
Yes,
tune in.
absolutely. We
And
love
it
it.
and it takes courage to get a story out there. And it takes time for people to listen to your story. But we've had so many people sort of interact with us and say, "Oh my gosh, I saw this and I didn't know X about someone like Dr. Craig Armstrong, for instance." People are like, "Oh my gosh, I've known Craig for the longest time, but I never knew the story about him when he was 16 going
Yeah.
on a walkabout with his 14-year-old brother throughout England." Or just so many stories that you can share, and that's a positive of connection with something like this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
But as far as what's next, we're always looking for opportunities, and amazing things happen when you say yes. I think you can almost always find a way to make something happen.
Yeah.
And it's super easy to say no. Was it hard to go to Warsaw? Did we have to do a bunch of things, line a bunch of things up to make it happen? Totally did. Did it give me blessings that I never could have thought about? Even just bringing my 22-year-old. He had a chance to talk to an 18-year-old who had been displaced due to war and living in a different country from his parents, and just hearing that kid's story.
I mean, you mentioned stories. There was a female there, assistant, that had never, according to her, she had never seen a female doctor. And so it was impactful for her to see Dr. Hannah Alberti, to see myself, and to see Kate Davidowski kind of doing our thing and just rocking it.
And everyone had a connection. Kate with Polish descent and Hannah with Czech descent.
That's huge.
We got to meet
And
Hannah's family while we were there.
Hannah's
and that was
family
so
took the
wonderful.
nighttime bus
Yeah.
to come visit her in
Oh, how nice.
Warsaw.
Amazing.
It just say yes to things.
Yes.
And it may be uncomfortable. It may be scary. We had a lot of people sort of concerned about our safety during this trip. Now, we did show up on the first night. We actually gave everyone a challenge coin that said Memento Mori. And we kind of explained okay, have you ever heard of Memento
I think
Mori?
I have, but tell our listeners more.
Do you want to say about Memento
Well, you're
Mori?
also missing half of it. So Memento Mori is remember that you must die, but then there's also the other part,
The other part of the coin.
Memento Vive,
Vive.
which is remember you also must live.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of a good two sides of the coin kind of thing.
Huge. I think that's you started off that way.
Yeah, that's how we started off,
I
which
think
is
that's a great
awesome.
challenge before any kind of mission trip that you do.
What are you going to do next?
What am I gonna do next?
Yeah.
I don't know. I might get that out.
And that's not
I might
terrible
cut that out.
to say,
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's actually freeing to have the creative time and space. Sometimes we fill our lives with the busyness of life.
Yeah. I wish I had
Instead-
more time to be. I feel like I have a lot of creative ideas, creative
Yeah.
energy,
And
and
I'm-
not enough time
You
to
two are
to
both
do 'em.
And I'm-
very creative.
I'm kind of tired of this fear of missing out concept. When we go to conferences like this, I feel like there is this big push that you have to attend every breakfast, every lunch. You have to constantly
true.
fill your time with meetings, with people. But I would push our listeners to
Take time for yourself.
take time for yourself. Remember, there is a balance of life. Remember, this is all a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you need to enjoy what you're doing.
You all said, be brave, say yes, but also challenge yourself to say no.
I love that.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
That's hard. I think
Very-
that's hard. Definitely for
harder.
the three of us.
It's
Yes.
harder to say no than it is to say yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There's a
Absolutely.
hailstorm going on just outside, so I hope it doesn't
Sounds like
interrupt
we have
our
some weather going
connection.
on. I will. I have an idea. Speaking of creative, but
Oh,
how
let's hear.
cool
Okay.
would it be if the large dental societies or any dental society had us out for us to do something like this?
This would be awesome.
If they did what?
Yeah.
If they hosted us and had us come to their meeting, have had us tell their members' stories, their
Yes.
leaders' stories,
That would,
that would be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Would we
So
be open to that? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think I would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I think I would. So we'll send that out to whoever's listening.
Yeah.
That, bring us out. We'll have a good time and we'll talk to your members and we'll share their stories because every member has their story and
Everyone
I think it's
has
important
a
to share it.
story. And that, I was trying to think of what I was going to say, and that refreshed my memory. Part of someone's story is probably going to involve success, and it's probably going to involve failure. And I think for me,
That was like the blandest thing I think I've heard all week.
no. Okay, well,
Guys, I think
okay,
life
yeah.
is filled
Life's
with
filled with
living
ups and
and
downs.
death.
No, listen.
Life's like a box of chocolates.
You never know what you're gonna get.
get.
Seriously, wow.
I
wow.
would imagine that
No.
anybody's
Listen,
story is
people
says
need
failures
people
and
need to hear
successes.
that. Is that you look at things, and I know we've kind of had that challenge, and I've had people kind of push on me about this. I have failed. Quite frankly, I think I've failed more than I have succeeded. But usually my points of failure have given me an opportunity that this door closes, now this one's going to open.
Yeah.
And I think people need to hear that it's okay to try something and have it
Yeah, not work out. Yeah, that's okay.
And that's where it takes legitimate courage to have that authenticity. And I think it's really challenging to have true authenticity, especially when you get into you want to say something.
No, I was just going to say, how easy or difficult is it for you to be authentic?
For me, it's actually not a choice. I wear my emotions on my sleeve.
You
so
have no poker
You know
face.
exactly what I'm thinking.
If you ever get a chance to play poker against that one, go for it.
I thought you were going to ask her to start singing again.
Oh, no, I will not. Or you. Sorry, no offense.
But how good are you at being authentic?
Oh, terrible. But I've got a really great poker face.
I think both of y'all are pretty authentic. I think y'all are your authentic
His plan is
selves.
working. His plan is working.
He's
yes, Bob pretends to be nice.
enough.
Yes.
Well, so I don't like emotion.
Why?
I don't think you were
What
born
happened
with
in your
that.
childhood?
Yeah, what happened?
Let's dissect
This is
this.
Here
now
we
a
go.
therapy session.
Yes,
we got a couch over there.
It's okay to cry.
No, I think emotion certainly has a place, but the pendulum will often swing too far in any direction. And mine swings a little too far to the unemotional side of the equation.
I am afraid of emotion too, but I have a lot of emotion. I feel like Tanya Sue, you're a very authentic person, and you're I think you have to be a certain level of authentic, and there has to be a certain level of people skills, because people aren't ready for authenticity 120% of the time. And sometimes sometimes what do our parents always say? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Yes.
Bob.
Exactly, Bob.
I should learn that message. Sometimes I just like trying to be funny.
No,
and sometimes people would benefit from input.
That's true. No, I seek feedback often.
So here's what I would say. A dangerous person to have around you is someone who you are close to, but they will not tell you the truth.
That's true.
It's actually a very dangerous person
and
to have
I would
around
actually one up that to say
you.
that
One up.
Well, sometimes I think people that are around you, they it's almost like if you wake up and see yourself every day, you get used to things, and you don't notice when there's maybe a challenge until that one person you meet on a bus or a plane goes, how can you not see this? This is obviously something's going on right
That's a very
here.
good point.
And so almost it's actually great to keep interacting with people. Don't be afraid to get outside your comfort zone. Meet new people. Don't necessarily, just dive in and try to glean, take everything with more than a grain of salt. But I think having multiple people that can give you different perspectives can help you have a well-rounded approach.
And I think it helps us build and grow our dental community.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Can I ask you guys a question?
Sure.
What do you need to do, Stephanie?
I probably need a coffee and a run right now to recharge. And that's what I need to do.
Okay. Tanya Sue?
I think for me, a need that I'd like to fill is making more connections.
Okay.
And letting
connections?
More connections.
More connections.
Yeah. Love meeting people, love hearing their stories, like we mentioned. And I'd like to complete a few more creative projects. Yeah.
You two are both very creative. I'm actually a little bit jealous of the creativity that comes out of the two of you.
I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you.
Thank you.
Well, what do you need?
Yeah, what do you need to do?
Oh, lots of things. The top of my mind is I need to get back to Dallas and shave and get ready to be back to
work.
Yeah, we're kind of finishing up the TDA meeting in San Antonio, like we were saying. And, it's cool that you say you needed more connections, but man, Tanya, so you connect better than anybody, I feel like.
Oh, well, I love it. I love these kind of events. It'll be nice to have a little pause after this, but coming to these meetings and meeting the leaders that are leading our organization in our state is huge and very rewarding to me, and they're examples to me. So I love it.
It's pretty cool to come to these things. Another tangible kind of benefit when you show up to the in-person meeting is I got to connect with people from dental school. Shout out Madison Mack, Adam Hauser, Malin Howard, Andy Arizmendi, Cassidy Robinson. Like this is so cool to me because I don't see these people. You graduate, you spend 4 years and you see them every day. And then you graduate and everyone goes out and gets lives. You get to see them at these meetings, and it actually brings back great, wonderful memories. And there's something positive that happens when you see people from a happy time.
I agree with that. Did you have any classmates here?
Did you? Did you see anyone from Canada School?
Wow. No one from Canada School.
No one from Canada School?
No.
One thing that I like to ask my guests is, what piece of advice would you give to our listeners?
None.
Stephanie?
Probably some. What's the none part of that? Is it an acronym for something?
No, it's not. It's okay, here's my advice. Be okay with failing and just give it a go.
That's good. That's good advice. Great advice, really.
And don't be afraid of rejection. I actually kind of really, really like rejection.
I do not.
In a weird, strange way.
Do you?
I don't lean into rejection like Bob leans into it. But I would say that for me, I think rejection's part of the process. And if you don't have the courage, we've talked about value-driven life with several people on the show. If you don't have the main value of courage, it's going to be hard to lead a value-driven life. For my advice for our audience is have basically having the, we talk about courage, having the courage to show up. And remember, so I love, like when I was in my 20s, I loved kind of getting a piece of paper out, drawing a circle. Is going to tell you a lot about me, but this is not me authentically. Drawing a circle and putting a little dot, that's me. So my whole world, me in the center. Sometimes as dentists, we don't like coming to meetings like the TDA because it's easy to get lost in the space, and suddenly our world doesn't get to have us in the center. Suddenly we are a piece of a really big organism. But guess what? That's okay. And if you can find a way to take yourself out of the center, we're actually on an ice rink now and the conveyor belt's coming. They're installing an escalator. Don't worry about it. But I would say this is my advice. Be okay not being in the center of something like the Texas Dental Association. There's a lot of magic that can happen when you learn to be a piece of the puzzle and not the center dot in the world. Sorry, Bob. When I
hear you say that, it made me think about the Ukraine mission that we were just on.
Yep, that's right.
And I'm used to putting myself in the center of the circle and showing up to make the team work, to make the mission successful. It necessitated and was appropriate and was helpful to not be in the center.
So what I'm hearing is getting out of your comfort zone.
And more so,
and getting out of your own way.
Being a team player. We're all dentists, no matter where we practice in the state of Texas. Part of being a team player is showing up to the Texas Dental Association's annual meeting and getting in there and saying, and you may not be speaking, but if you have a classmate that sees you, man, you're going to make someone's day. And so trying to get out of your own way and trying to figure out a way to be present for maybe your classmates, maybe for that mentee that you haven't met yet, that you'll meet at this meeting, getting out of your comfort zone, as Tanya Sue was saying. And really, really magic happens when you realize how you fit into a puzzle piece. Or
100%. Any last thoughts today for our listeners?
Man, I feel like we all have rocked it today.
Yeah, I think so too. This was great.
I love the adventure of life that all three of us are on. I really do. And I think it's cool for all of us to support one another.
I agree.
I think it's cool for us to put out messages that hopefully support other people as well.
Yeah, I have felt very supported by y'all and great friendship
good, it's working then. There we
great
go.
Friendship from these two for sure. Yeah. And I hope that I have shared the same with you all.
I feel like all of that respect, love, admiration is mutual.
Thank you.
This table is glowing right now.
It
We're
is.
So
it literally
happy.
is glowing.
Yeah, for this one over here doesn't like emotions though.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you all for tuning in and listening. Bobby Bob, Steffi Steph. Thanks for
I just
chatting
go by
with me
Bobby.
Today.
I think
know,
bobby
but
pin.
You want it
Bobby pin.
Bobby
It's pretty much
Because-
bobby pin.
because
Bobby
Steffi stuff.
pins.
Oh,
Because
Steffi
Steffi stuff. So
Steph.
Bobby Bob.
But Steffi Steph's kind of different. So it's
I know,
Steffi
it was
Steph and
funny.
then Bob.
That's
Okay.
Well,
All
I
right.
guess that's
Bobby
all.
Bobby
Pins.
pins.
Bobby.
It's bobby
Whatever you
pins.
want to call
Bobby
them.
Kins.
Bobby kins.
Just
All
don't
right,
call me
Bobby Kins
Robert.
and Steffi
Bobby
stuff.
kins.
Thank you for your time. Tune in next time for another episode.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of New Dentists on the Block. If you would like to connect with Bob and Stephanie, you can find them on Instagram at BobDDSMD and at GanterSR. You can also find Between Two Teeth on Instagram at B2Teeth. You can also find Between Two Teeth on YouTube, and I highly recommend you check it out. Please be sure to subscribe to the podcast on YouTube and on all major podcast platforms. Would love if you would leave a review of the podcast. If you have a new dentist you would like to recommend for the podcast, be sure to send an Instagram message to @NewDentistOnTheBlock. We'll catch you next time.